We're on the record.
I'd like to call the October 24th, 2017 meeting of the Complaint Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force to order. Please call the roll.
On the call of the roll, Member Wolf. Wolf absent. Member Hinsey.
Present.
Hinsey present. Chair Tesfa.
Present.
Tesfa present. We have a quorum. There are no agenda changes that I know of at this time.
Thank you. Just some information for those who have not appeared here before. What this committee does is we serve as kind of a filter for the full task force. All of you, once your complaint makes it out of this committee, will have the opportunity to appear before the full task force and gain the benefit of having all of the members hear your case. Here today, we'll be looking at the specific facts around your complaint and see if you have all of the evidence and facts gathered properly to support your complaint. At that time, we will make a motion to move your complaint to the full task force. We do not make a recommendation on your complaint on whether it should be, a violation should be found or not. We leave that to the full task force, so you have the opportunity to get everyone's experiences. But here we will be taking a close look to make sure that you have facts to support the specific criteria of whichever portion of the ordinance that you think has been violated. And if you do not have all of those portions or we need more information from you, what we end up doing after we find jurisdiction or not is we will, if you don't have that information, we'll ask you to gather it and then submit it to us for review at the next complaint committee meeting. That being said, let's move to item number 2.
Item number 2, approval of the September 26, 2017 complaint committee meeting minutes.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion. Do we have any public comment on that item? Seeing none, can we call the roll?
On that motion, Wolf absent. Member Hinsey.
Present.
Hinsey,
Aye.
aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
No Chair Wolf today?
I'm the chair of the complaint committee.
Oh, okay. Hi. The mic isn't on.
Chair, Member Wolf is a member of this committee, but he is not
Oh, he's
present
not the
today.
chair. Oh, okay. Okay. So I have issues with the items at the end of the agenda where you're asking the complainant to say that this department is a city department and under your jurisdiction, and that the documents requested were public. I have issues with that because it seems to me that this is a new procedure. It's not really necessary because the complaint was taken, so it was a city department. And it seems that it's only being done for the Arts Commission, and that requires myself or anybody else who files a complaint with the Arts Commission to come in an extra time just to say that. And I think it's completely not necessary. It's a waste of people's time. And if it should be done for one, it should be done for all the complaints. Okay.
Thank you.
Just to note, on those items, they are not required to appear for a determination of jurisdiction at this time. For those listed towards the end of the agenda. Is there any other public comment? There is no further public comment at this time. Next on the agenda, item number 4. File number 17088, complaint filed by Ray Hart against Chair Peter Keane and the Ethics Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.3 by willfully failing to enforce orders of determinations issued by the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
Good evening. Ray Hartz, Director, San Francisco Open Government. And I want to start out saying I think the Ethics Commission, as usual, has gotten the wrong idea from this complaint. This complaint basically is not asking you to review the decisions of the Ethics Commission regarding cases of mine that were referred to them. It is the fact that a member of the public who has a case referred to the Ethics Commission cannot get a fair hearing. And as the Ethics Commission has an obligation under the Sunshine Ordinance to be is noted as the primary enforcement body for this ordinance, they have a duty to do that. And it is hard to say that the Sunshine Task Force complainants who are referred to the Ethics Commission get fair hearing when every single case goes against them and in favor of the city. There are a couple things that I would like to mention. They like to quote the Good Government Guide to us. And this says, when acting as in a quasi-judicial capacity, members of boards and commissions function like judges. Thus, they must take care to ensure that the parties appearing before them receive due process. Due process requires fair adjudicators. Commissioners must listen to the evidence presented before making decisions and base their decisions upon the evidence in the governing law. Frequently, bodies that act in a quasi-judicial capacity adopt rules addressing the procedures for adjudication and hearings and the conduct of commissioners regarding evidence and witnesses. Now, that's from the city attorney's own direction to boards and commissions, and basically, I have to question. And I think most members of the public would question whether a body like the Ethics Commission, who denies 100% of all the cases referred to them, is hearing it in a fair manner. To accept that, what you have to do is accept that the task force has gotten it wrong 100% of the time. And basically, what happens is you end up with a thing that is so unbalanced that it's not a fair hearing. And at a minimum, this is something that should be heard before the full task force so that they can decide whether or not there is a violation of the law. And the facts are supported also by the civil grand jury. Says because the Ethics Commission's lack of enforcement, no city employee has been disciplined for failing to adhere to the Sunshine Ordinance. The Commission has allowed some city officials to ignore the rulings of the ordinance, of the task force. And basically, that was in 2010 and 11 with the civil grand jury, and nothing has changed since then.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Bloom. I'm the Deputy Director of the Ethics Commission. I'm here today representing the Commission. I filed I copied the task force on a letter that I sent to the City Attorney's Office, which appears in your agenda packet, arguing, I think...
Approximately page 19.
Oh, thank you. Arguing that I have the utmost respect for the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, but that it just simply doesn't have jurisdiction to hear complaints involving the outcomes of Commission enforcement decisions. If the Commission, or if the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force would like to engage in a policy discussion, I'm wide open and free and available to engage in that discussion. But it's inappropriate for this body to act as an appeals board for decisions that have been made by the Ethics Commission. I mean, regardless of whether they agree. And to that end, I am working on a draft amendment to our enforcement regulations, and I'm actually meeting with Chair Bruce Wolf on Thursday at 2 o'clock to discuss those draft regulations and work on some of these issues that we have between the two agencies. And I come to that with an open heart and open mind for improvement and to address some of Mr. Hartz's concerns. That being said, I have no doubt that might come, or would probably come, before the full task force at some point. So thank you.
Thank you. Before moving forward, we need to make a determination on jurisdiction over this matter.
I'll move that the Ethics Commission is a part of this. I'll move that it's the part of the city and we have jurisdiction over this case.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. So the next, I have a couple of questions before.
Would you like to
proceed-
get a vote on that motion?
Actually, I would like to hear public comment on the motion. Is there any public comment on the motion to find jurisdiction on this matter?
The motion is to find that the task force has jurisdiction over the Ethics Commission.
Is there any public comment on that? Seeing none, can we take that by acclamation?
That motion is adopted with Member Wolf being absent.
Okay. I have a few questions for Mr. Hartz. Actually, Member Hinsey, do you have any questions first?
I might, after you ask your
Okay,
questions.
thank you. I'll start then. Mr. Hartz, I saw that you filed this complaint under Section 67.34 for
Correct.
willfully failing to enforce orders determined by the task force. But to clarify, you are not looking for an appeal of any specific case, correct?
Correct.
And are you looking for some type of policy action of the task force to address this issue?
I would like the task force to, in full meeting, discuss the fact that when they refer matters to the Ethics Commission, they're doing so knowing that the complainant will not get a fair hearing.
Okay, so are you? Would you argue that the task force should be reviewing the actions of the Ethics Commission under 67.30?
No, I'm asking the task force to review whether repeatedly sending, Albert Einstein said the best definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. And after 18 years of sending things to the Ethics Commission, knowing that 100% of the time they will find in the favor of the city and against the complainants, no matter who it is, not just me, it's anybody, then it really is kind of ridiculous to just keep sending them over expecting a different outcome.
So under 67.34 for willful failure, they're talking about willful failure to provide records pursuant to the Sunshine Ordinance or willful failure to abide by the Brown Act. And so I'm saying this for Member Hinsey, don't believe we could look at it pursuant to 67.34. I think under 67.30, the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force is empowered to develop goals to ensure practical and timely implementation of the ordinance, propose amendments to this chapter to the Board of Supervisors, make referrals regarding enforcement power under the ordinance. I think 67.30 is where we have the ability to look at this kind of conduct and how it's affecting our ability to take action under the ordinance. But I don't see it under 67.34. So,
well, I would argue kind of differently. Members of the Ethics Commission are appointed by political bodies, and they act as agents of those bodies. And my feeling is, as members of the Ethics Commission, they're supposed to be impartial, and yet when you rule 100% of the time in favor of the parties, which are the people who appointed you, you are not representing the people. You are representing the people who appointed you. You're acting in their interest. You're acting as their agent.
Thank you. So 67.34 doesn't talk about impartiality. I'm trying to find a way for the task force to be able to address your concerns.
Well, I have no problem if they address it under 3.0. But what I am arguing is the fact that if I appoint you to a body and you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and then I proceed to act contrary to that oath of office, then I am acting as the agent of the body who appointed me, or the individual who appointed me, whether it's the mayor or the Board of Supervisors or whoever. And basically, if I also know that I have an affirmative obligation under the ordinance to enforce the ordinance, and I just willfully and knowingly decide I'm not going to do that, I think that's something that the task force really needs to address, not just say, well, because certain words don't fit, exactly. I mean, basically, what we're talking about here is these are political appointees, and they are hearing cases which involve the people who appointed them. And in 100% of the time, they are deciding the cases in favor of the agencies that appoint them. Whether it's my cases or any other citizen of San Francisco, they always decide in the city's favor. Now, I think that's a question that needs to be asked. Now, if you want to do it under 6730, that's fine. But I don't think that turning a blind eye to the Ethics Commission's long history of willfully and knowingly refusing to enforce the ordinance at all, ever, is something that is reasonable.
Thank you. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I have something I'd like to say in response to that question.
Okay, if you could just give us one moment, perhaps we should just maybe move to rebuttals.
Sure.
So that you can have an opportunity to make your final statement.
Sure. Do I go? Does Mr. Hart?
You would go first.
You go first, yeah.
So, initiating a review of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force's relationship with the Ethics Commission under 6730 is not something that can happen pursuant to a complaint filed by a member of the public. So what you really need to do as a procedural matter is dismiss Mr. Hartz's complaint and then make a recommendation to the task force to place this on the agenda, not as a complaint attached to anything, but as a broad policy question that you'd like them to consider. That's completely within the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force's authority. It's something we would support and welcome and engage in. But we are not thrilled about the idea that every time we issue an order or make a decision based on your Sunshine orders of determination, that we might be hauled back in front of the task force in this type of appeal under 6730 to determine whether or not we violated the principles of the Sunshine Ordinance. There has to be an end to the process, and the process is when the Ethics Commission makes its decision, unless somebody wants to go to Superior Court. There has to be an end to the process. I mean, think about the implications of this decision. If you decide that Mr. Hartz can file a complaint here every time that the the Ethics Commission doesn't enforce that order, you're saying that the local administrative remedies process never ends, which means someone may never be able to go to Superior Court, because somebody could go to Superior Court and a judge would say, did you exhaust local remedies? And in good faith, we would have to say we don't know, because if after they appeal an enforcement decision order to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, it becomes a circle, and it keeps going and going and going. When does it end? So, I mean, there are huge policy implications for taking jurisdiction over a complaint like this.
Thank you.
One of the reasons I have, for the last 10 years, done what I do before the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force is to represent the 95% of the citizens of San Francisco whose rights will be abridged and are unable to afford or take the time to go to a court to fight for their rights. Basically, and if I understand correctly, Ms. Bloom has just gotten her law degree, so here we are in an administrative setting, and now the citizen, the average citizen like myself, is forced to deal with a complainant who wants to argue matters of law as if this was a court rather than a hearing. And this is an administrative hearing. It is not a courtroom. And the rules of the court do not apply. And if she wants to make an argument about endless things, I mean, I considered it harassment and slander when she said that I am using this system to harass people. I'm not. I am looking out for the average citizen of San Francisco who comes to this body with the good faith that you will give them a fair hearing, and when they get a fair hearing and get a determination, are then sent by you to the Ethics Commission, again working on the good faith that they will get a fair hearing. And you cannot say they're getting a fair hearing if the outcome is predetermined before the hearing is even held. Yesterday, I didn't get notice of the hearing until 2 hours before the hearing. Ms. Bloom, apologized for that, said, "Oh, it's my mistake." But that doesn't change the fact that not giving people a notice is something that's been done to me before. Several of the hearings I've had have been handled on questionable ethical grounds. And again, the rule of law is based on the rule of equity, and basically it is not equitable to expect an average citizen to have to continually deal with legal issues that are brought in to obfuscate the primary deal, which is basically the task force is in good faith making determinations and then sending them to an organization that has acted in bad faith for 18 years. And if Ms. Bloom wants to get up and argue that the Ethics Commission is giving a fair hearing, she has to deal with the statistics, and she has to deal with that statement from the civil grand jury. And the civil grand jury said it very clearly that the Ethics Commission doesn't, and as a result, city employees feel free to ignore the law. And, that's just basically the foundation. Law is not just a matter of words. It is a matter of the equity underneath that law.
So, I agree that 6734 isn't necessarily the right section to look at here. The question is whether in my mind, whether we should recommend this under 6730.
I don't really see 67.30 as a way for us to make a recommendation on this as a complaint. I think 67.30 would be a way for the task force to look at this issue, or to take on this issue, look into it, and figure out a way to work with the Ethics Commission on a remedy for this, continued action or inaction on enforcement actions. That being said, I still think we have jurisdiction to hear complaints against the Ethics Commission. I just don't think that the facts that have been presented to us, the case that's been presented to us, is one that can be brought under a complaint under 67.34. So my inclination on this would be, I might not want to dismiss it, but perhaps continue it to the next complaint committee meeting, and also ask that Chair Wolf put this matter on the agenda for the next Sunshine Task Force Committee meeting, full meeting, so that he can report back on his efforts to work with the Ethics Commission on this matter.
That sounds good to me. I will can I make that as a motion to continue this particular item to the next meeting of the complaint committee, as well as recommending this be placed on the next agenda for the full meeting as a policy discussion with, well, the chair can make the recommendation.
The chair can make a report back as to the efforts. Okay.
May I suggest that we continue this to the call of the chair, as
Sure.
we don't know specifically when we will be able to get the item onto the full task force.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will talk to Chair Wolf regarding placing this item as a discussion issue on the full task force agenda for discussion. And I assume once that discussion occurs, we can think about rescheduling this at the task force level, at the committee level.
Yes.
That works.
I'd like to second that motion. Is there any public comment on that motion?
I think there are two issues here that were raised that should be included in your summary, which were not included, which is the discussion of whether it's going to be put on as just an agendized item, having the complaint withdrawn, for discussion, for proposals. That was discussed. And the other part that was discussed was whether it's going to be 34 or 30. So that should be included in the summary when it goes up.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Thank you.
On that motion, Wolf absent. Member Hensy. Aye. Hensy, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes. The matter will be continued to call the chair, and I will talk with Chair Wolf regarding scheduling a discussion issue.
Okay, and just to be clear, we did not dismiss this item or anything like that. It'll come back to the call of the chair. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, item number 5, file number 17095, complaint filed by Ray Hartz against Commissioner Paul Rennie, Ethics Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.15D and 67.17 by abridging or prohibiting public criticism of the policies, procedures, programs, and services of the city. Ethics Commission, December 19, 2016 meeting.
Thank you. Can the petitioner please approach?
Should I begin? Okay.
Are you ready?
Ray Hartz, Director, San Francisco Open Government. 3 minutes? Okay. Anyway, again, we're doing the lawyer against the citizen, arguing that this is you can't go to the court with the same set of facts and ask for another hearing. This is not a same set of facts. It is a continuation or an ongoing set of facts. There were 2 members. The task force has already found unanimously that Commissioner Kopp violated my rights under the First Amendment and under the Sunshine Ordinance when he interrupted my public presentation. And when this was appealed to the chair, who is Paul Rennie at that meeting, I asked him. I said, "Do I get compensatory time for being interrupted?" And he said, "Your time has expired." Now, I think he realized that he had done something wrong, because on the next agenda item, when public comment came up, and this is on the Ethics Commission website, Chair Rennie, Mr. Hartz, do you want to make a comment that you wanted to make on the earlier agenda item when your time ran out? It's not germane, and I answered, it's not germane to this agenda item and is a violation of the ordinance, and I wouldn't do that. As much as I expect other people to follow the law, I follow the law also. And basically, I asked for compensatory time. Now, when the violation against Commissioner Kopp went back to the Ethics Commission, they discussed it, and Mr. Rennie asked the city attorney what he should have done. And, a little day late and a dollar short. Mr. Rennie's an attorney, and I think he is a long-time server on boards and commissions, and he knew what he had done was not right. And the city attorney's advice to him, and it's on the website, when it was reported back to the Ethics Commission that they had found the violation, the city attorney said what should have happened was he should have been given the time so that he got his full allotment of time. And like I said, I think Chair Rennie sort of tacitly admitted that when he, on the next agenda item, asked me if I wanted time for the previous one.
Thank you. Is there anyone present on behalf of Commissioner Rennie and the Ethics Commission? Thank you.
Hi. Again, it's Jessica Bloom, I'm Deputy Director of the Ethics Commission. Again, I've had a response in writing, but I think the main point, I did cite the legal principles behind res judicata and collateral estoppel, which hold that once somebody's been held in violation of the law, you can't bring them back to court over and over again. But my main point is just that the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force's order of determination explicitly says that not only did Judge Kopp violate the law in that meeting, but that all the members of the commission did as well. And Mr. Rennie is a member of the commission. So it's literally the same section that he's alleging now that he did then. And so we just, I don't know how many times we have to come back on this issue, but, you found that we violated the law. I've informed my commission. I don't know what good finding that we violated the law again would do.
Thank you. Could we make a motion to find jurisdiction on this matter? Or is there a motion to find jurisdiction? I'll second that motion. Is there any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, can we take that by acclamation?
That motion is passed with Member Wolf being absent.
Thank you. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions?
No questions yet.
Okay, I have a question for the petitioner. Mr. Hartz?
Yes.
Was the full Ethics Commission included as a party to your last complaint?
No, it was specifically against the Commissioner Kopp. And I specifically did it for one reason. It's just like the police do in the dramas. They catch the small fish and get a conviction. I wanted to make sure that the Sunshine Task Force agreed with me that Commissioner Kopp had acted inappropriately. And now I'm dealing with this different set of facts and a different individual on how he handled it as the chair.
When the task force considered your prior complaint, was the Ethics Commission included later on by the task force in its order?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the times when I send things in, they are not. I filed this complaint specifically against Paul Rennie, and he is on the Ethics Commission.
I meant in the earlier complaint against Commissioner Kopp. When the task force made its order, did they include the full Ethics Commission? Did they decide to add the full Ethics Commission to the order against Commissioner Kopp?
I don't believe so.
It's here. Yeah, because if I recall, that is what ended up happening. And so...
Well, that's like saying if 3 members of the commission violate my rights during different times of the same hearing, I can't file different complaints against the different people.
What that's saying is, well, I don't need to respond. Thank you. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions for the petitioner or the respondent?
Let me just say one thing.
Well,
if you look at my actual complaint form on page 32, you will see name of individual, Commissioner Paul Rennie, complaint against the Department or Commission, Ethics Commission. You have to fill that out. Now, it's not, I shouldn't be held at fault.
That wasn't my question, but thank you. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions for the petitioner or the respondent?
No questions.
Okay. I would like to allow the respondent to make closing remarks.
None, thank you.
Okay, petitioner.
And again, I don't think this task force was ever intended to be a place where a citizen has to go up against an attorney. And that's basically what we have here. Whether or not she is representing herself as an attorney, she is acting as an attorney, and she is raising legal arguments, and that sets an unfair, inequitable bar against complainants. I mean, basically what will happen is, or what could happen is, all city departments, instead of sending a person from the department to respond who is involved in the issue, will send somebody else to represent them who is a lawyer, and they will raise legal issues, and the task force might as well shut up shop. The bottom line is the commissioners, 4 of them out of the 5 are lawyers. They know what the law is, and they flagrantly and willfully violated the law. Paul Rennie knew when he did it that he was denying me time that I should have gotten, and him pretending later on that, oh, I just didn't know, let me ask the city attorney, was just nothing but window dressing. He knew what he did was wrong, and when he later offered me time on another agenda item, which is not appropriate, that was nothing more than covering his ass. And, you know, I think what we're getting to is now Ms. Bloom is acting on behalf of a bunch of political hacks who will not take responsibility for their own behavior. When the order against Quentin Kopp went back, they were completely dismissive of it and you and the task force. And for anybody to now pretend in any way, shape, manner, or form that the Ethics Commission has any real intention of honestly and in good faith dealing with members of the public as regards sunshine, you just have to look at 18 years of public records where they have failed to do so. And, I guess what I'm sensing is we're going to move into that arena where any citizen who has his rights violated or her rights violated will only have a resort to the courts, because basically they're going to start sending lawyers in to fight us and making legal arguments, and they're going to work with judges who are sitting on the commissions, and they're going to work together.
Thank you. Do you have any thoughts at this point, or do you want to discuss?
Sure.
So since we had a previous case similar, and we did include the commission in our order, wouldn't that mean that they sort of my thoughts are that they sort of violated our previous order, and there must be some implications behind there.
So I think, I think what you're saying, and this is kind of my view of this right now, is the original complaint that had been filed against Commissioner Kopp, the full task force decided to, even though it was originally filed just against Commissioner Kopp, the full task force, when we reviewed the case under our order of determination, we included the entire Ethics Commission as a violation under these set of facts.
Correct, yes.
And so I believe that our previous order of determination covered this case.
Correct.
Is that what you think as well?
Correct, yes.
So what type of action would you like to take?
I don't know what type of action would we take.
We can refer to the full task without recommendation, and we can provide your opinion to them at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
All right.
I'll move to send this up to the full task force without recommendation.
Okay. I'll second that. Is there any public comment on that motion?
I understand both sides of this, and you can make the argument that, a private citizen doesn't know as much as a lawyer does, and you have 4 lawyers in front of you, and they're acting in concert with each other. I think that's what the original complaint said. But the whole issue was 8 seconds or 8 minutes were taken from him for some reason whatsoever. And it should have been given back to him at that time. They should have stopped the clock, or they should have said, we're going to give you so much time left. Instead, it was something different. And that was wrong, and I think people understand that. But Mr. Hartz has been around for a long time. He certainly knows when something is wrong, and he made a good faith effort on both these things so that other people that are sort of rolling around in this sort of get the idea that when something happens, you sort of have to speak up at that time and say, give me back the time that you gave me.
Thank you.
Is there any additional public comment on that motion? Wolf absent. Member Hingy.
Aye.
Hingy, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes.
Thank you. Can we take a 2-3 minute break?
We are on a short recess.
Thank you.
We are back in session. Next on the agenda is item number 6, file number 17100, complaint filed by Patrick Roddy against the Department of Public Health for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a public works request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Roddy, and I filed a Freedom of Information, a Sunshine Ordinance request to the Department of Public Health, and I believe this works. So, This is a request. I was asking for how many people died on each day from October 1st, 2013 to March 31st, 2016. Deaths are public records. That's San Francisco and California state law. The existence of a death record is therefore a public record. And that's all I was asking was, I wasn't asking, I mean, originally I did ask for the death certificates, and to which I was told, yes, I could have them if I spent $22 per death certificate, which was ridiculous. So they blew their 8-day Sunshine Ordinance thing under 672.B. And so the request, I filed it in August 22nd, and on September 19th, the reply was, the department claimed Sunshine Ordinance is not applicable in this case, since it would require the creation of a document report that is not readily available and would have to be converted into a file. By the way, this email that they sent to me is a file. Files can be sent, and how much work is involved in creating that file, I see there's no exemption in the Sunshine Ordinance. I did look. If it's hard for them, it's on a high shelf, we can't get it. Doesn't work. It is not. They have to provide this, and it is months now. And I am simply asking for the most public of information: how many people died. And I find it suspicious that this data is not being provided. At the same time I asked for the mortality data, I also asked for the, from San Francisco General, how many people went to the emergency room and how many hospital admissions there were on those days. I got that. And now I don't get this. They're referring me to the state of California for this information, which they had themselves and sent to the state. So why don't they just give it to me themselves? So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Is anyone present on behalf of the respondent? Please approach.
Good evening. I'm Linda Acosta from the Department of Public Health. First, I have to say that it's been a long time since we've had a public records clerk in our Department of Public Health, but we actually have a new one, Veronica Vienne, so we are going to be much better with our public records in the future. But for now, we did receive this request from Patrick Roddy, and I spoke with our Vital Records Department, and I learned a lot about Vital Records. So the system that our Vital Records uses is called the EDRS, or the Electronic Death Registry System. So we don't actually have any death certificates. What we do is we log into this system, and we verify death records that come from hospitals, funeral directors, and medical examiners. So we never have an actual physical form. And from what I understand from our Vital Records folks, what they would have had to do to get this information to Mr. Roddy would have been to, for each day of the request, which was from October 1st, 2013 to March 31st, 2016, run a report. So they would have had to run almost 880 separate reports to get that information to him. So from my understanding of the Sunshine Law, it is information that is readily available, that can be given out, but that if it requires creation of something that's very difficult to create, that is not information that needs to be given out.
Anything else? No? Thank you. So before proceeding, we need to...
I'll make a motion to find jurisdiction.
I'll second that. Do we have any public comment on a finding of jurisdiction on this matter? Seeing none, can we take that by acclamation?
That motion is adopted with Member Wolf being absent.
Thank you. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions?
I do actually for the respondent.
Will the respondent please approach?
What was, I know you're not the custodian of records, but what was your role in dealing with this case?
Oh, so I actually have been since Nancy Soraya left in January. I had inherited that role, but I'm also doing it on top of my regular job, which is communication specialist.
Okay, so you were the custodian of records at this time?
Yes.
And then, do you know, like, what the process is for generating one of these reports and how long it would take and that sort of information?
You know, I don't know how long each daily report would take to run, but I imagine that running it 880 times would take a significant amount of time.
Those are my questions at this time.
Thank you. I have questions for the petitioner. Mr. Roddy? Yes, please.
Hi there.
So to clarify, you submitted your request on August 22nd, correct?
Correct. And I got a denial on September 11th.
I thought you said September 19th.
Sorry. Correction, September 19th, yes.
And was that the first response of any kind that you received?
Well, sometime after they blew the deadline, I got an email saying, "Oh, we blew the deadline," and I then got the information from San Francisco General, and then silence on the...
When was the first date that you received a response from this department?
Well, actually, the first time was back in May. Because that was the first time, and when I requested the data in May, I didn't get an email. I got a phone call. There was nothing in writing saying you just can't have it. The city attorney says no. So there was nothing in writing. So that I didn't pursue that because I just changed tack.
Your complaint is about the August 22nd request for the data on deaths between October 1st, 2013 through March 31st, 2016. That's
Correct.
what this. Okay, so when was the first date that you received a response to the August 22nd
It was 18 days afterwards.
Okay.
First time.
And so what is that date? Just, I don't know, but...
I remember when I wrote back to them saying, "Hey, it's been 18 days." So that was the complaint that you got. You have that email.
Okay. And... Let's see. Let me just do the calculation because basically what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at 67.21, which is the part of the ordinance that you brought your complaint under.
Correct.
And you just have to calculate the number of days, and
Yes.
so that's a critical part. So I want to do that while you're here.
It was 18 days when I filed the complaint.
Sorry, I didn't ask when you filed the complaint. I need to know when was the first date in which you received a response to your August 22nd request.
It was the day after I filed the complaint, I believe.
Okay.
I don't have, unfortunately, I have the email chain on the phone that's recording this.
Okay. Give me 1 second and let me look at the packet again to refresh my memory because
That's
a
going to
critical.
be key in your how your case is going to move forward. And was this a perhaps you could refresh my memory?
Yeah,
on this too. Was this an immediate disclosure?
It was not an immediate disclosure request, so it's 10 days. And it sounds like he did not receive it within the 10 days, but I just need to double
I can
check.
confirm it was not within 10 days.
And I need, Victor, do you have a hard copy of the packet or somewhere that Mr. Roddy could look at since he can't access his phone?
Yeah.
Just because it has to be physically in the packet for us to use it for moving it forward. If not, we can continue it. it sounds like we have many of the facts.
You
but
have the email thread.
I have the email thread, but it doesn't have the date when they responded to you. So I have your email to them, but I don't have their response to you.
Okay. I don't believe I have a copy of that.
Yeah,
I
it
was
wasn't in the packet. Okay.
So on September 8th, I filed the complaint saying that on August 22nd, 18 days ago, I'd requested the public records and I didn't get it.
Right. So what we're going to need to ask you to do, Mr. Roddy, is to send a copy of the first response that you received from this department to our clerk. We need to have that in the packet so that we can say, under section 67.21A, Mr. Roddy should have received a response in 10 days. Mr. Roddy received his response on X day, which is more than 10 days from when he filed his request.
But the fact that they did not respond within the 10 days, that's a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. I don't need it. I can show you an email from later on after that happened. But the absence, the Department of Public Health cannot produce anything that was sent to me or any telephone logs because they didn't send anything. They're in violation and they know it.
Through the chair, we need the first email you received pursuant to this request with a date on it, so that we have the evidence.
I think that we may be able to send this up to the full task force, and he can provide that later. Because what if this was a case where they had never, ever, ever responded? Does that mean he would never be able to file a request? No. So I think to make your case more clean, we haven't made a motion yet, but I'm leaning towards moving this to the full task force. But we would need you to include in the packet, send it to the clerk, the first response that you received from the Department of Public Health.
Okay,
the one that said that.
And in fact, if you have like a printer with a USB, I can print off my laptop.
Do not have that.
We don't. It's just it needs to be in this legal packet that has been produced for us to have shown that we met public records.
Okay, sure. I can send you the whole lot.
At this time, I do not have any further questions for you. I do have a question for the respondent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Hinsey, do you have questions for Mr. Roddy?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Respondent, can you please approach? Thank you. Can you tell me a little bit more about the EDRS system?
Sure. What's your question?
What does EDRS stand for? I guess like electronic data.
Electronic Death Registry System.
And who created the system or who manages it?
It's not created by me. It's a state system, and then each county feeds their records into it.
And how does your department use that system?
So again, we don't create records in it. What happens is records are created by hospitals, funeral directors, and medical examiners, and we go in and in the end say everything is complete, and we check a little box and say everything's good.
Okay, so you kind of review and confirm the information that was sent into the system. Okay, and I think those are my only questions for you. Thank you. Can we discuss?
Is it okay if I add something or no?
I'm going to ask if she has any more questions, and then we can allow you to do your closing statement.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any further questions for any of the
I
parties?
have no further questions.
Okay. Can you make your closing statement, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
I do want to apologize again on behalf of the Department of Public Health. I do really try. I've tried very hard to keep up on the public records with my other job. Again, we're going to be much better in the future. And I did want to say that the way to get these reports is to go through the California Department of Public Health, and we did give that information to Mr. Roddy.
I thank you. Can the petitioner make his closing statement?
These are electronic records. It's not hard to get electronic records. You can do a batch job and get them all done in 20 minutes. A script will do this. And by passing it on to the state, that moves it outside the jurisdiction of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. I do not want to do that. I love the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and bravo for existing. It's a big stick that us little people do need. And frankly, death records, it's really important to know. I mean, I'm not even being told if people died. I mean, this has to be the most public thing. If oh, Patrick died, or they won't even say, oh, maybe Patrick died. They won't even say. So this is like Banana Republic stuff. I mean, the Department of Vital Statistics. What are they there for? I mean, all I wanted was how many vital statistics do they have? And oh, no, you can't. Oh, it's too hard. We have to, whatever. It's really bogus. The reason I'm doing this, I know this isn't even a requirement under the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, is I'm doing an epidemiological study, and I need this data. And first they were, like I said, they tried to charge me $22 per record. I mean, the history of epidemiology is really important. I forget the name of the doctor. Back in London, there was a cholera outbreak in the 18-whatevers, and what he did, he mapped out all the cholera deaths, and he saw a hotspot around, and in the center of this was a water pump. The water pump had infected water, where that was the source of the plague, the typhus. He took the handle off the pump and stopped the cholera epidemic. This is all I'm doing. I'm doing this on my own dime, and I'm getting stonewalled. And simply, I mean, just to know, did someone die or not? I'm not even getting told that. Yes, okay, they got to do it in multiple days, but that can be done on a batch job. And there is nothing. I don't see anything in the ordinance that says, "Oh, if it's hard for us to do, we're not going to give you this information." And especially death records. Birth, deaths, and marriages are the most public thing you should have. And really, like I said, I hope this gets resolved soon. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I would just like to go back to the original request, which states it's a request for how many people received treatment at General Hospital emergency room and how many were admitted to the hospital on each. Please?
Sorry, that was a separate request.
It doesn't state anything about death records in the original request dated August 22nd.
Can we give Mr. Roddy a quick opportunity to respond to?
So on the same day, I filed two Sunshine Ordinance, two requests to the Department of Public Health. One was the mortality data, which we're talking about now. The second one was the stuff from San Francisco General. The day after I filed to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, that lit a fire under the Department of Public Health, and very quickly they sent me the data from San Francisco General. And that did get mixed in with the email thread, but I was also saying, yeah, these two things were requested. They refused the second one.
Okay. Mr. Roddy, we have to look at complaints that are what is in front of us.
Okay.
And so the complaint that you are bringing is not for the information in the presentation that you gave us. This makes things very difficult. Member Hinsey and I will discuss, but right now I am leaning towards having you refile this complaint for the actual documents that you mentioned, the death records for the 2013 to 2016 death records.
Those, right. I was told I could have them if I paid $22 a piece for them.
That's not listed in the packet.
Because that was the first time I contacted the Department of Public Health back in May. That was the original request. Send me all the death records. Right,
but right now we are dealing with a request from August 22nd, which is asking for data from San Francisco General Hospital.
That's not. If you look through your packet, that is not. That got mentioned as well in there, but the original one in there is about the mortality data.
Okay, Mr. Roddy, we have to move on. So I'm going to ask you to please respond to the questions that have been asked. Thank you.
That is not. If you look through your packet, that is not. That got mentioned as well in there, but the original one in there is about the mortality data.
So the email I have from you on August 22nd says, "To the custodian of record, I am writing to request public health data, as is my right under the San Francisco Sunshine Ordinance. Specifically, I would like to know how many people received treatment at the now Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital emergency room and how they were admitted to the hospital on each day starting October 1st, 2013 through March 31st, 2016. I understand there is no fee other than the cost of the electronic media, which I will provide and mail to you. Thank you for your help, Patrick Roddy."
I think the confusion here lies, I filed 2 Sunshine Ordinance complaints on the same day. You might be looking at the wrong one.
I mean, I'm looking at the one that was agendized, which is the only one that we are allowed to consider today.
So what happened to the other one?
I do not have any other record of additional submissions.
You received it on the same day. I was only notified of this one, which I assumed was the one about mortality data. It just says a public records request. Yeah, there were 2 separate complaints filed. Maybe the other one got lost in your system. That might have been seen as a duplicate because the email title is similar, because it has the same subject. As you can see here, it's at the end, it says Sunshine Ordinance Public Records Request dash mortality data, and the other one was SFGH. You're looking at the SFGH one.
That's the one that's in the packet, is the SFGH one.
That's the wrong one.
Looks like we'll need to open a new file. So if you could provide me a copy of the one regarding death records, along with the requested information regarding a copy of the public health response.
I can do that, sure.
And then we will reschedule.
Okay, so we'll continue this item.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, it'll just be a new item.
Okay, it'll be a brand new item because all of this information on the packet is So are you trying to file 2 complaints? One
No,
regarding-
the first one got resolved. They actually sent me that
This
information.
one has been resolved?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like to withdraw this complaint? That's
Well, I'll withdraw that one, absolutely,
Yes.
and
then we will open a new
refile.
complaint regarding the death records.
Okay. Do you know how long before the next thing will be? Because I've been waiting for months now.
We can get it onto your next agenda, but since we've already heard the arguments, I don't know if you want to require the parties to return or...
You actually do have all this information. It did get sent to you. It's in your system somewhere, but
I
maybe
know,
it
but
got deleted.
because of public meeting, we would be in violation of the
Sure.
law to consider a matter that has not been properly agendized.
Yeah.
If this was agendized, someone from a different agency who was involved here could come and say, "Oh, I, would like to speak on this matter." They technically have that right to do so. That's why it has to be agendized, and the information has to be out there in advance. So if you withdraw this item, I would like to hear the other item. I'm not sure if we should make the parties appear. Perhaps you can speak to that. We can give you 1 minute as to whether you would like to appear while we
I'd
consider.
I'd like to appear, yeah.
And would you like the department to appear?
Sure, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. That might make it take longer to get onto the agenda. So it's kind of, but the thing is, this item has been resolved, so we can't do anything about this item.
Oh.
The one regarding...
Because we were both talking about the same thing.
I know, but I don't
Then
have
we
it.
just realized
Right.
you were looking at the wrong complaint.
Right, but under the law, under the public meeting laws, the information that is going to be adjudicated today had to be provided to the public in advance, so that if anyone in the public had an issue with this item,
So they could have seen the email thread.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand.
And so my recommendation to you to make sure it goes more smoothly is that if you did receive any kind of response from them,
Oh, I can produce the whole thing and just send it all.
okay,
Yeah.
because then it'll be easier to see the date that you submitted it as well as their first response and show that their first response was well outside of the 10-day.
All right.
And then
That's
in
fine.
that time, I would also like the respondent to take a look at the ordinance and see what you are required to do because from your statements, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what your obligations are, opportunities that you have for extensions. If there's a large amount of documents, you can't just shirk your responsibility to produce those documents. So please take a second look at that and be prepared to discuss it next time. If you still feel that you do not, there's a difference between these documents not being public and you not having to produce them because it would take a lot of reports being run. That's what I'm trying to explain and give you a hint as to looking at that and being prepared to argue one way or the other.
So to recap, I'll submit a new complaint and give you sheaves of everything, the entire email threads and
Okay.
stuff.
Related to the specific request.
The request for the death records.
Which I did, unfortunately, but that one, unfortunately, it seems it got lost in the thing, and that was my fault because I didn't make the subject. The subject looks similar.
Okay.
It's only the last part of it, which was.
So this item has been resolved.
Okay.
Have you received these documents about the
I did, yeah, and
hospital?
it's great. I got
Okay, so
everything.
would you like to withdraw this item?
I'll withdraw the San Francisco General Hospital item.
Yes, this specific
Which is,
item.
if that's that one, yeah,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'll file a new one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is there a motion at this time?
It's been withdrawn, so there's no need
Okay.
to take any additional action.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we move to the next item?
Next on the agenda, item number 7, file number 17107, complaint filed by Anthropo against Francis C. in Office of the Mayor for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to a media disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, right on that. Good evening.
1 second, let me just pull up my notes. Okay. Are you ready, Fiona?
Yep. So I don't see a representative from the mayor's office here. Am I wrong? No. Okay, so this is a late response. I provided you a timeline it should have been in the beginning, but it wasn't. The original IDR was on May 5th at 8:13 a.m. It was sent to the correct email. I sent it to this person because he is the person who deals with appointing commissioners, and I thought that was the most direct way to go. So I sent a follow-up email on May 10th, approximately 10 days later, saying this was my second attempt. And I did not know at the time, but on his Facebook page, after I filed this complaint, he was in China at the time. There was no auto away message. It didn't refer me to anybody else. So the second one I did get a response to on the 16th, and he's saying some other guy is going to follow up with the documents. So on May 19th, I got some documents, but they were not comprehensive to the original IDR. I wasn't referred back to the department. Well, why don't you go check with them? They might have a few things. And it's just bad faith on the part of Francis Sang, the same way it's bad faith that nobody showed up here today. This is the second time I've made or gotten the mayor's office violated for the late no response to documents concerning a commissioner. And just as an aside, when I asked for the full file of this new appointee, Mary Young, her credentials to serve diverse populations and communities, that should have been in the file because that is part of when a commissioner submits an application, they have to submit that too. And whatever qualifications to serve under the bylaws of the Arts Commission. I asked that specifically because there was an article at the time saying the mayor basically threw her a bone. She was the head of the Democratic Party in San Francisco, and I wanted to be sure that she had some art qualifications, which I don't think she had, but I didn't get the documents anyway. So multiple violations here, and I request that it go up to the full task force with a request to find violation. And since it's the second time and there's no representative here, failure to send a knowledgeable representative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Victor, did the mayor's office say anything about sending a representative this evening? There he is. Thank you. Hello, we're on item number 7.
Good evening, folks. Victor Lim here, Deputy Communications Director from the Mayor's Communications Office. So this is a response to Mr. Bo's complaint. And you have the written...
I do.
Okay. Sorry, just let me catch my breath.
Okay, and the letter that I have is from October 16th, 2017.
Correct. So we acknowledge that there was a letter sent by Mr. Bo, and that Mr. Bo had sent a letter to our Deputy Chief of Staff, Francis Sang, and Mr. Sang had checked his mailbox upon his return after being out of office on the 16th, and he immediately saw this request. And so he alerted our division, the Mayor's Communications Office, to take action because I myself am the custodian records. And we also had Mr. Sang do a search on his mailbox because Mr. Bo claimed that there was a prior email on the 5th. Mr. Sang could not find any record of that. And so after Mr. Sang alerted me about the request and also the matter of the request, we took action to do a search for responsive records. And on the 19th, we immediately provided all the responsive records to Mr. Bo. Now, we do apologize that it was not timely. However, it was complete, and we do kindly request that the task force consider dismissing this complaint.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before moving forward, you can have a seat. Before moving forward, we need to determine if we have jurisdiction over this matter.
I'll make a motion. Do we have jurisdiction?
I'd like to second that motion. Is there any public comment on the matter of jurisdiction? Seeing none, can we take that by acclamation?
That motion is passed with Member Wolf being absent.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Member Hinsey, do you have any questions to start?
No.
Okay. I have a question for Ms. Trabue. Yes. Can you give us some details on what information has been provided to you?
There was just a somewhat redacted form letter, a signature, and a routine. It wasn't even a constitution, was it? Just an informal swearing in. And I know from previous experience, they're required to file these documents with the county clerk downstairs, which was not filed again. So here, page 65 of your packet is the original IDR sent on May 5th. I don't know if you can read it. May 5th at 8:13 a.m. Sent to Francis Sang, the correct email. Nothing came back, no audio away, nothing.
Yeah, I think the timeliness issue is pretty clear for us. So I'm kind of I would like to look at the section of the ordinance under 67.25 for completeness.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we have some information there. So can you show me in the packet any information on what you received?
They didn't supply anything, and I didn't think the burden was on me to submit the documents. The burden is on respondent to do that.
Thank you. I have a question for the respondent. Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Could you give us some information about what was provided to the respondent? And to
Yeah,
the petitioner?
so first of all, Mr. Sang, he handles all commission and appointments. So he went in and provided me usually the standard documentation that goes along with the packet for Ms. Zhang.
And so what would that include? I would presume an application?
Yes, I would want to double check the PDF on that. And if there was the oath of office, usually if the mayor is not administering it, then it's Mr. Sang. So that would have been included. It would just require me a minute to pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm concerned about the completeness. I don't have anything in the packet to show what was received. I see what was requested, information about experience and aptitude to represent certain types of communities on this commission. And it's unclear what was provided. So
I'm happy to forward the original email that we sent to Mr. Bo.
thank you. Because at this time, we have enough to move it to the full task force on the issue of timeliness. Ms. Trudeau is going to be able to show us some information. That information will need to be provided in the packet.
You can show it, it's not in our packet.
Isn't the burden on respondent?
No, I was going to say that the respondent would need to provide whatever. I would need the respondent to provide what has been provided to Mr. Bro to show us that you have responded to this request in a complete manner.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I may, I'm happy to pull it up on this computer.
It's really slow. I can't get it.
Okay, maybe we can try on your email,
Yeah.
Mr. Lim.
Okay.
You want to get into the out of office issue? Or the automatic out of office?
We can bring it up, but either way, it's already definitely a violation.
It's a common theme.
Yeah, okay, I'll make sure and address it then. Thank you.
Can we turn that off for just a second? As I'm trying to do this.
I mean, I can turn off our screen so you can. Yeah, thanks.
Actually received it on the 19th. The letter was dated May 19th.
And what were some of, while he's pulling it up, can you give us orally maybe what some of the contents were? Into the mic, please.
There were 2 attachments, PDF. The first being certificate of appointment of officer/department head, redacted name, social security number, appointing signature, Ed Lee. That was the first page. Oath of office, signed by Mary Jung, dated the 25th of April, 2017. Defend the Constitution, foreign and domestic. Third page of that attachment, Angela Cavillo is sending a letter to Mary Young saying that her seat, she got the the appointment ending January 15th, 2021. Serve our community, which demonstrates the appointment, the communities of interest, neighborhoods, and diverse populations. Signed by Ed Lee. That was dated April 25th, 2017. The last one is professional experience, something of a resume, redacted. None of it related to the Arts Commission, of course. Statement of economic interest, cover page, Form 700. Schedule C, income, loans, and business positions. That was the first PDF attachment. The second one was a copy of the electronic mail, the letter of May 19th.
We have the documents right here, so maybe we can just kind of roll through them.
Okay.
So the certificate of appointment, this is the first one that Mr. Bruce said. Is there any information on there about her application or... Okay.
Want me to continue scrolling?
Yes, please.
Okay. So that's the rest of the first page right there.
Or Mr. Lim, can you identify in any of these documents an application or any kind of qualifications that the mayor was able to review before appointing Ms. Jung to this position? I know that when I applied for this position, I had to fill out an application and explain my qualifications for this role.
So that would usually be handled by Mr. Sang. And so Mr. Sang, as I understand, did the best of his knowledge to look into the files to provide anything responsive to Mr. Bo's request.
Okay, so why didn't Mr. Sang provide the information of the application that he received from Ms. Jung?
Let me just
This might be a mayor's appointment and not a board of supervisors appointment.
Board of Supervisors, that was the letter that was in the first.
Right.
But
Yeah, that
we
was-
approve mayor's appointments. We don't actually pick them.
Thank you. So if this is a mayor's appointment, where is the application that went to the mayor's office for this position?
let me just.
We can keep scrolling, yeah.
So there's an
Since
oath
this
of
was
office.
from Mr. Sang's.
So right here, this is the letter from the mayor to
Right.
Madam Clerk.
How about, okay, so it says attached are her qualifications to serve, which demonstrate how this appointment represents the communities of interest. So where is the attachment?
Okay, here's
Okay.
her resume,
Okay,
and we've redacted the personal information there.
okay.
Shall I continue scrolling?
You can continue scrolling, but this
Okay.
was the information that I was looking for. So
Okay.
it shows kind of her community, work in the community, and her professional
Yeah,
work.
yeah, so-
Okay. Mr. Bo, did you receive this document? It looks like it's all in one document. It says all responsive documents.
I'll forward it to you right now.
That needs to be in the packet. Okay. So I think that we have some information here to support the timeliness issue that that both of the parties have stipulated to. I would like to make a clarification here that there has been mention that, Mr. Sang was on vacation, and he did immediately respond when he got back from vacation. The ordinance does not allow for doesn't allow for leeway in the 67.25 immediate disclosure request timeliness requirements for when someone is on vacation. This matter has come before the full task force, and so you'll hear it then, but an individual would need to have an out of office message, and also in that out of office message include who the requester needs to contact for matters regarding sunshine or any matter. So in Mr. Sang's email, he could say, I'm out of the office. For assistance, please contact Victor Lim. And then in that case, the person would know to contact that person for the sunshine ordinance request. And in this case, we don't have any information or evidence showing that Mr. Sang had an out of office with that kind of direction in it. So that's something that hopefully your office can implement immediately for those going on vacation and before this goes before the full task force.
Yeah, we fully understand.
Thank you.
We can only have one mic at a time, sorry. Can you use the center?
We fully understand. So we will talk to our colleagues to make sure that moving forward to reiterate this, because actually when I was here in February, we also discussed this matter before.
So yes, an out of office, and then a person to direct any inquiries to while that person's out of office needs to be in there.
I appreciate the direction.
Thank you. Do we have, can we allow the parties to make their closing statements? Mr. Lim, the respondent would begin, and then she'll have the final.
So on behalf of the mayor's office, we appreciate this opportunity to be here today. I apologize for not having all the information readily available at first, and we apologize any extra time that was spent. But as the information does show, the packet, which I've forwarded one to Mr. Young right here, there was a total of 6 pages, including the documentation that you also inquired about. So we understand that it was not timely. However, it was complete. So we do kindly request that if you can consider dismissing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Trudeau?
This is the third time I brought a complaint against the mayor's office for the exact same thing. It's not just in February. There was another time, and there were the same excuses made. We're going to revise, we're going to discuss, we're going to do this and that. Bottom line, he didn't even come in with the papers. He didn't submit them. You gave him a chance at the last minute to do it. In the greater picture, apart from sunshine, this information should be in file with the clerk's office. That's the law. I could file a complaint with the Attorney General on this, because this is common practice in the mayor's office. People come out of nowhere, they get sworn in the office, and then the paperwork dies. You have no idea when their term is up, what their qualifications are, except by filing this type of request and coming in here 3 times. So there's that, and also he should have referred me to the Arts Commission to see if they had any responsive documents. It's not, the guy made a big deal on his Facebook page that he was in China and he's meeting with all these world leaders and here's all the pictures that he's taking. It was not an inadvertent mistake. The guy is in charge of appointing commissioners, not just one. There are hundreds of commissioners sitting on boards and commissions in the city. 3 times this has happened. The likelihood for it to happen again is extremely high. And especially when there was an article about this Mary Young, who has essentially no qualifications to sit as an arts commissioner. So I hope that you add a couple other violations on this, because it's not an isolated incident. It's going to happen again.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to bring this to the full task force. I would also like to make sure that the documents that were provided by Mr. Lim to Mr. Bowe are included in the packet, so that the full task force can consider both portions of 67.25, the timeliness and the completeness of this records request.
Are you going to make any recommendation? Are you going to make any recommendations with that motion?
I'm not. I mean, I'm not making a recommendation. I want the full task force to be able to look at this on their own. I've alluded to, things that I think about this case in my remarks earlier, but I don't want to prejudge this or anything like that for the full task force.
Second.
Can we take any public comment on this?
There being no public comment on the motion, Wolf absent. Member Hensy.
Aye.
Hensy, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes.
Thank you. And if I'm not present for when this comes before the full task force, I expect you to explain what we saw here, what information we saw. So, thank you. Thank you.
The next three items on the agenda are before the task force or before the committee for review for determination of jurisdiction only. Would you like me to call them together or separately?
You can call them separately, I think.
Item number 8, file number 1711101, complaint filed by Randy Sinke against the Arts Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.25 by failing to respond to immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Is the petitioner present?
No, but I have to get a letter from him to argue the case.
We're only determining jurisdiction today, so...
No, he's not here.
Is there any comment regarding jurisdiction only?
Is there any... Give me 1 second. I took some notes on this, so let me look it up real fast. I'd like to make a motion for jurisdiction on this matter, to find jurisdiction.
Second.
Can we take public comment on this motion?
I was told to get a letter authorizing.
The public comment is just on jurisdiction.
No.
Do you have any public comment? No. Okay. Seeing none, can we take this by acclamation?
Yes, the motion is passed with Member Wolf being absent.
Okay.
Next is item number 9, file number 17102, complaint filed by Liz Arbus against Kate Patterson and the Arts Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner.
I'd like to make a motion to find jurisdiction on this item and that these documents are public.
Second.
Is there any public comment on this item? No. Seeing none, can we take this motion to find jurisdiction by acclamation?
The motion is passed with Member Wolf being absent.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is item number 10, file number 17106, complaint filed by Andrew Bowe against Rebecca Krill and the Arts Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Will the petitioner make your opening statement?
The documents are public, and this is a department under the task force jurisdiction.
Thank you. Is there a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion that we have jurisdiction over this case.
And the documents are public.
And the documents are public, yes.
Thank you.
There are no members of the public in the room.
Oh, there's a member of, sorry, I mean, you, but not for public comment purposes.
No.
You are in the room. Can we take this item by acclamation?
The
This
motion is
jurisdiction?
adopted with Member Wolf being absent.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, item 11, announcements, comments, questions, future agenda items, and pending calendar by members of the committee.
Okay, Member Hinsey doesn't have anything, and neither do I.
There are no announcements at this time. Item 12, adjournment.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The meeting is adjourned at 7:09 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.